What's up, world? Welcome to the TYSK Report. Amazon had a great event last week that focused on a lot of different news, so this video is focused on recapping some of that. So let's dive in. Amazon announces its own set of Nova AI models. Amazon has announced a series of new AI foundation models under a new Nova branding that will be available as part of the Amazon Bedrock model library in AWS. There are three understanding models available now. They have Amazon Nova Micro, which is a text model that's optimized for speed and cost. Amazon Nova Lite, which is a very low-cost multimodal model that can take in images, video, and text to generate text. And then Amazon Nova Pro, a highly capable multimodal model. The company is also training a model called Amazon Nova Premier, which it says will be our most capable multimodal model for complex reasoning tasks. Amazon aims to make Nova Premier available in early 2025. Amazon is releasing content generation models too. Amazon Nova Canvas, an image generation model, and Amazon Nova Reel, a video generation model. The company says that these models have watermarking capabilities to promote responsible AI use. As an example of what's possible with Nova Reel, Amazon has shared this mock ad for a fake pasta brand. Later in 2025, Amazon plans to release a speech-to-speech model and a native multimodal-to-multimodal model, according to a blog post. The company, like many other big tech players, is racing to release new AI products and features to stay ahead of newer companies like OpenAI. Where Amazon could have an advantage is how much internet infrastructure is already powered by AWS. So yeah, it looks like Amazon is getting into the game and competing with the likes of OpenAI, Meta, and a little bit of Anthropic, even though they have that type of relationship where Microsoft is working with OpenAI, but they have a little competition with them. Amazon is doing the same with Anthropic. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next with this, but let's dive into some more Amazon related news. AWS Trainium 2 chips for building LLMs are now generally available, with Trainium 3 coming in late 2025. AWS announced the general availability of its Trainium 2 T2 chips for training and deploying large language models. These chips, which AWS first announced a year ago, will be 4 times as fast as their predecessors. In practice, that means running inference for Meta's massive Llama 405B model as part of Amazon's Bedrock LLM platform will be able to offer 3 times higher token generation throughput compared to other available offerings by major cloud providers. These new chips will also be deployed in what AWS calls the EC2 TRN2 Ultra servers. These instances will feature 64 interconnected Trainium 2 chips, which can scale up to 83.2 peak petaflops of compute. AWS notes that these Ultra servers use a Neuralink interconnect to link all of these Trainium chips. The company is working with Anthropic, the LLM provider, to build a massive cluster of these Ultra servers with hundreds of thousands of Trainium 2 chips to train Anthropic's models. This new cluster, AWS says, will be 5 times as powerful compared to the cluster Anthropic used to train its current generation of models, and AWS also notes it is expected to be the world's largest AI compute cluster reported to date. And as far as the Trainium 3, AWS expects another 4 times performance gain for its Ultra servers. For example, it promises to deliver this next iteration built on a 3 nanometer process in late 2025. So if you did not know that Amazon had their own chips, now you do. And also in this video right here, I did talk about how Amazon was working on their own chips, so that way they would not have to rely so much on companies like Nvidia, but they also plan to continue to work with Nvidia. They just want to make sure that they had some type of backup plan, which is very smart with Amazon. But let's dive into some news related to liquid cooling. AWS bets on liquid cooling for its AI servers. AWS will soon start using liquid cooling for its AI servers and other machines, regardless of whether those are based on its homegrown Trainium chips and Nvidia's accelerators. It's worth highlighting that AWS stresses that these updated cooling systems can integrate both air and liquid cooling. This flexible multimodal cooling design allows AWS to provide maximum performance and efficiency at the lowest cost, whether running traditional workloads or AI models. In total, AWS says the new multimodal cooling system and upgraded power delivery system will let the organization support a 6 times increase in rack power density over the next 2 years, and another 3 times increase in the future. AWS opens physical outlets that let customers upload their data. data. AWS has created the Data Transfer Terminal, which is a set of physical locations where customers can plug in their storage devices to upload data to the AWS cloud. So how does it work exactly? On your reserved date and time, you'll visit the location and confirm access with the building reception. You'll then be escorted by a building staff to the floor in your reserved room of the Data Transfer Terminal location. Don't be surprised if there are no AWS signs in the building or room. This is for security reasons to keep your work location as secret as possible. The initial Data Transfer Terminal locations have been opened in New York City and Los Angeles, and more will be added in the future. Each location is equipped with a patch panel, fiber optic cable, and a PC for monitoring data transfer jobs. Amazon claims that Data Transfer Terminal delivers fast upload speeds up to 400 gigabytes per second via a secure high-throughput connection. You'll have to pay for the privilege. Amazon charges per port hour for usage of ports and Data Transfer Terminal locations during a reservation even when no data is being transferred. Per port charges are $300 for US to US data transfers and $500 for US to EU transfers. Amazon doesn't list the prices for transfers to the rest of the globe. So in addition to liquid cooling, it also looks like Amazon is doing something out of the ordinary by having those physical locations. I'm not sure how useful they would be, but maybe people who are within that industry who do a lot of data transfers might find this very convenient for them, and maybe it will be very successful for Amazon. Up next, we have AWS makes its SageMaker HyperPod AI platform more efficient for training LLMs. AWS launched SageMaker HyperPod, a platform for building foundation models. HyperPod is now in use by companies like Salesforce, Thomson Reuters, and BMW, and AI startups like Luma, Perplexity, Stability AI, and Hugging Face. One of the challenges these companies face is that there isn't enough capacity for running their LLM training workloads. Oftentimes, because of high demand, capacity can be expensive, as well as it can be hard to find capacity when you need it, how much you need, and exactly where you need it. Customers may need to start at one place and then move their workload to another place and all that, and then also set up and reset their infrastructure to do that again and again. To make this easier, AWS is launching what it calls flexible training plans. With this, HyperPod users can set a timeline and budget. Let's say they want to complete the training of a model within the next 2 months and expect to need 30 full days of training with a specific GPU type to achieve that. SageMaker HyperPod can then go out, find the best combination of capacity blocks, and create a plan to make this happen. SageMaker handles the infrastructure provisioning and runs the jobs, and pauses them when the capacity is not available. As the number of teams working with generative AI in a company grows, different teams will likely provision their own capacity, which in return means that some of those GPUs will sit idle and eat into a company's overall AI budget. To combat this, AWS is now allowing enterprises to essentially pool those resources and create a central command center for allocating GPU capacity based on a project's priority. In more AWS related news, Amazon teams up with Orbital to remove CO2 from the air at one of its data centers. AI's surging power demand has put several big tech firms at risk of blowing through their climate commitments, but Amazon has partnered with Orbital, an AI startup, to test a new material that removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and they're using an AWS data center as a first site. Orbital's materials deal with AWS will reportedly place its material at a yet unnamed data center, according to Reuters. The setup should remove more carbon dioxide than the electricity used by the data center would produce, and the extra cost of the material should be far less than the price of a carbon offset. This startup specializes in using AI to design advanced materials, but for now, it's specializing in carbon capture. The material that's going to be used by AWS was designed specifically to work with hot air coming out of data centers. The company declined to disclose further details about the proprietary compound. AWS pledges $100 million in cloud credits to help education organizations build learning tools. AWS announced the Education Equity Initiative, which aims to provide education organizations with technologies to build digital learning innovations for underrepresented communities. AWS is committing $100 million in cloud credits to this effort over the next 5 years. The plan is to support hundreds of nonprofit organizations globally over the next 5 years and help them build the tools to teach their local communities coding and other computer-related skills. skills. If necessary, AWS will also provide hands-on help with building and scaling the applications that these organizations will build. So this is a very great idea. I like that AWS is doing this because they are providing an opportunity for people who wouldn't have an opportunity access to get the skills or gain the skills that they would need to be successful in this world that's growing with technology. In the next AWS article, AWS new service tackles AI hallucinations. AWS is launching a new tool to combat hallucinations, that is, scenarios where an AI model behaves unreliably. The service, called Automated Reasoning Checks, validates a model's responses by cross-referencing customer-supplied info for accuracy. AWS claims in a press release that Automated Reasoning Checks is the first and only safeguard for hallucinations. Automated Reasoning Checks, which is available through AWS Bedrock Model Hosting Service, attempts to figure out how a model arrived at an answer and discern whether the answer is correct. Customers upload info to establish a ground truth of sorts, and Automated Reasoning Checks creates rules that can be refined and applied to a model. As a model generates responses, Automated Reasoning Checks verifies them, and in the event of a probable hallucination, draws on the ground truth for the right answer. It prevents this answer alongside the likely mistruth so customers can see how far off base the model might have been. So that was just some of the latest news related to the AWS event that happened last week. I hope that some of that information kept you informed of what's going on with AWS. And in addition to that, to continue to stay informed about all the other great things happening in the world of technology, you should like the video, subscribe, and then check out these two videos right here where I keep you informed about the things you should know happening in the world of tech.